On the last cold evening before New Year's Eve, when the city was already glittering with promises it often forgot to keep, a small diner at the corner of Maple Street glowed with tired yellow lights. Inside, warmth fought bravely against the winter outside. At a corner table sat a woman who counted her money 3 times before ordering. $3. That was all she had. As you listen to this story, stay with it until the very end, because what happens next will remind you why kindness still matters. And if stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because moments like these deserve to be shared. Her name was Lena. She was in her early 30s but carried herself like someone much older, as if life had asked too much of her too early. She ordered the cheapest thing on the menu, a small bowl of soup and a piece of bread. She didn't complain. She never did. Lena had learned long ago that complaining didn't change rent notices, hospital bills, or the way people looked through you when you couldn't afford to be seen. As she waited for her soup, she watched other people come in, laughing, talking about parties, about fireworks, about how the next year would be, their year. Lena smiled faintly at those words. She had said them once too. Just a year earlier, Lena had a job at a small tailoring shop. She worked long hours, saving little by little, dreaming quietly of opening her own place one day. Then her mother got sick. The diagnosis came fast, the bills came faster, and suddenly Lena's savings disappeared into hospital corridors and pharmacy counters. When her mother passed away in the fall, Lena lost more than a parent. She lost her anchor. Grief took its time, but rent did not. She missed work, then missed payments, and eventually missed the job altogether. By December, she was living in a tiny rented room, surviving on odd cleaning jobs and whatever kindness she could quietly accept. The soup arrived, steaming gently. Lena held the bowl with both hands, letting the warmth sink into her fingers before taking a sip. It wasn't much, but it was something. Around her, the diner buzzed with conversations, clinking plates, and the low hum of an old radio playing holiday songs. Then the bell above the door rang, sharp and clear, and a man walked in with a little girl holding his hand. The man looked tired in the way only single parents do, strong, but worn at the edges. His jacket was slightly too thin for the weather, and his eyes carried a mix of responsibility and hope. The little girl, maybe 6 years old, had a pink scarf wrapped clumsily around her neck and eyes that sparkled with curiosity. She tugged at his hand and pointed at the menu board, whispering excitedly. He smiled at her, that kind of smile that says, "I don't have much, but I have you." They sat a few tables away from Lena. The man ordered carefully, glancing at prices before deciding. 1 plate to share. Lena noticed because she recognized that look. The look of counting silently, of planning every dollar before it left your hand. As the girl chatted happily, Lena looked back at her soup, suddenly feeling heavier. It wasn't jealousy. It was recognition. The little girl's voice drifted over. "Daddy, will the new year be better?" she asked, swinging her legs. The man paused, then nodded. "It will be," he said gently. "We just have to believe it." Those words hit Lena harder than she expected. Believe it. She wondered what belief even meant anymore. She finished her soup slowly, savoring each spoonful as if it might be her last warm meal for a while. When she reached for her bread, her hand trembled slightly, and a piece fell to the floor. She froze, embarrassment flooding her face. She leaned down quickly to pick it up, cheeks burning, hoping no one had noticed. But someone had. The man stood up quietly, walked over, and picked up the bread before she could. "Here," he said softly, placing it back on her plate as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "The floor's clean, but still, didn't want you to rush." Lena looked up, startled. "Thank you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. He nodded and returned to his table. No pity. No questions. Just kindness. Lena swallowed hard. That small moment cracked something open inside her that she had kept tightly shut. A few minutes later, as Lena reached into her bag to count her money again, she realized she was still short by a few cents. Panic fluttered in her chest. She debated putting the bread back, or apologizing to the waitress. Before she could decide, the waitress smiled and said, "It's covered." Lena blinked. "What?" "The gentleman over there," the waitress said, nodding toward the man and his daughter. "He asked me to add your meal to his bill." Lena turned, eyes wide. The man looked up, caught her gaze, and raised his hand slightly in a shy wave. The little girl waved enthusiastically. Lena stood up, heart pounding, and walked over. "You didn't have to do that," she said, tears already threatening. "I know," he replied. "But I wanted to." She hesitated, then sat down for a moment. "I only had $3, she admitted, her voice breaking. "I just wanted something warm tonight." The man nodded, understanding more than she realized. "I'm Mark," he said. "This is Emma." Emma grinned. "Happy almost New Year." Lena smiled through tears. "I'm Lena. Thank you, really." Mark shrugged lightly. "I've been there," he said. "After my wife passed, it was just me and Emma. Some nights, kindness from strangers kept us going. Tonight, I guess it was our turn." They talked for a few minutes, nothing heavy, just small pieces of their lives exchanged carefully. When Lena stood to leave, Mark handed her a small paper bag. Inside was half of their meal, neatly wrapped. "For later," he said. Lena wanted to refuse, but Emma looked at her with such hope that she accepted. Outside, the cold air hit her, but for the first time in months, she didn't feel completely alone. She walked back to her room, holding that bag like it was something precious. The next morning, Lena woke up with a strange feeling. Hope. Fragile, but real. She used the little energy that kindness had sparked and went to a nearby community center she had been too ashamed to visit before. There, she found a notice looking for part-time helpers. She signed up. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Weeks passed. Lena worked hard, slowly rebuilding. She started volunteering extra hours, helping others the way she had been helped. One afternoon, while sorting donations, she heard a familiar laugh. She turned around and saw Emma running toward her, scarf still pink, eyes still bright. Mark followed, smiling in surprise. They talked again, longer this time. Mark told her he worked nights and was studying during the day, trying to build a better future for Emma. Lena shared her dream of opening a tailoring shop again. Life didn't magically fix itself, but it moved forward.